Hey folks, I'm Scott of Scotty's Gunworks, and what I thought I'd do today is just kind of make another video. It's a stock shaping video. And basically what I've done is I've kind of went on ahead and fitted the piece of wood to the receiver. So now what I want to do is I just want to kind of show you how I go about shaping it out. Kind of a simple video. I just kind of spared us the fitting part of it, I guess. Takes a little while to do that, and I thought, you know what, I've done made one video where I'm fitting a stock on the gun. Of course, any gun you get is going to be kind of a different process. This particular gun right here is similar to the Ethica Model 37. It's not an Ethica, but it's similar to that. But anyway, what I want to do is just kind of show you how to go about shaping it. I'll have some scale pictures of the block of wood and everything, you know, at the beginning of the video before we get into the shaping part of this. Just kind of show you, you know, what it started out as. Basically just a big piece of black walnut, you know, like in that previous video I made a few years back where I'm actually fitting stock from start to finish. It's just going to be the shaping part of it, the stock. So without further ado, we'll get into the video. Alright, what we'll do here is I'll kind of start out by just kind of letting you know what kind of tools I use. Basically just a rasp, you know, a nice cabinet file, different types here. You can probably pick these up at Lowe's. Got several different files up there, and I got me a sander here. It's a belt sander. It's one I usually use, and I'll be using that quite a bit in this video, you know, to kind of take a lot of that wood off. You know, one of the things about going real fast with shaping one of these, you know, you're going to have a lot of time in it, so the the worst thing you can do is get in a hurry. And I've done it, and I've messed it up, you know, and then I've lost all that time and all. So the best thing I can tell you is just take your time with it. What I've done here is I've kind of got another stock. You can see the shape the original stock here is in. This is the one that didn't come off of this gun, but it's the same stock that would go on this gun. But anyway, there's what it looked like. And of course this gun here, when it came in, it didn't even have a stock on it. So fortunately I happen to have one around here, you know, that needs a stock as well. So anyway, basically what I did here is I got it all fitted out, you know, and fitted to the receiver. Now I'm just kind of fine tuning it and gonna thin it down. I might make it a little more robust than the original stock there I just showed you. But I'll just set the camera up, and I'm hoping I don't make this too boring for you, but just kind of want to give you some tips and, you know, kind of show you what I do on this right here when it comes to fitting the stock. Of course, I'm going to refinish it. I'm going to finish the stock, and I'm going to refinish the forearm to kind of match. You don't want to blue it or anything, but anyway, I want to go over those tools there before we got started real good in this. And I'll set the camera up and we'll go ahead and get started. Alright, let me point this out, folks, while I'm thinking about it. What I do is, whenever I draw this out, I always draw it out just a little bit bigger, you know, than the original. Like this one right here, for instance, is kind of what I'm patterning this off of. So I made it just a little bit bigger. And so what I'll do, and you'll see as I'm shaping all this out, I'll stay off of these points right here, the middle point and the back. I won't even touch that up there. And the reason why is because if I start taking it off, then I'm going to make it thinner than I want to. So I will keep the same outline shape of that. Basically what I want to do here is I just kind of want to cut all this right here down. You see how much wood yet we still have to take off. The whole time I'm doing this, I will leave that center point right there on there, and it goes all the way up in here. And then when I'm completely done sanding it, and we'll go over it as we get to it, I'll go ahead and fine tune it to the receiver. Probably leave it a little more thicker than the receiver, but anyway, just remember, don't take no more off this right here or this right here unless you've really made it extra big, but then again, you're gonna have to come to that stopping point because, like I say, you'll start sanding it down, and before you know it, you'll look at it and you'll think, well, man, that's awful thin up in there. But yeah, if you'll just remember not to take these points here off because you've already got it shaped, and then once you get the bulk of the wood off, then you can kind of fine tune it. So, all right. We'll start the ball rolling by using the old belt sander. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that I stay off of the top part, and I just kind of keep hitting the side of it around to the rounds right here where I got it drawn out. Being careful not to take any off this right here or any off that bottom end. I'll take a little off one side and then take a little off the other side because I want to make sure that I keep it good and straight with the gun itself. You don't want it to be crooked. Alright, here we are at the old sanding wheel here. We'll cut this span off. Safety first, you want to make sure you wear a dust mask or have a good fan like I got. I'm going to cut mine off because we're fixing to do some sanding here and I don't want everybody to hear me. So, you know, no longer than I'm going to have it off. I think I'll be okay. So, anyway, basically, we want to just come over here and just kind of use this right here. This right here does a wonderful job. It's a little slow, but it allows me to kind of eyeball it as I sand. Again, we're staying off the very top of this right here because we don't want to change our contour. We'll stay off the top of this right here. We'll stay off of that right there and that right there. So even that inside there, we don't want to. We want to keep that same shape. You know, we don't want it to be skinnier or anything. All we want to do is just take the bulk of the wood off. I think, you know, one of the reasons why I got different tools I use, you know, I got the belt sander and things like that, because it does get boring using the same tool, you know, and I'm thinking, well, I know I can get that off a lot quicker with that other sander over there, so I'll bounce around and probably just, I can get it taken off just as quick with the belt sander, but I don't know, to me it just seems like breaks the monotony up when you got different tools to use. It's a mind thing, I'm sure, but this does help a lot though, because it doesn't cut as fast, and I can kind of sit here and relax and kind of look at everything as I cut. Comfortable worker is a good worker. Put me a pencil line right there, and of course, as long as I can see that pencil line, I'll know I didn't get into the wrong areas. And again, we're going to make this stock here a little bit more beefier than what it would have been from the factory. I just think it would look better. Plus, it will provide more strength. And of course, I went on and put the aqua glass seal right in this area right here, and I'll clean all that up. But it fits really nice against the receiver. So that way, what happens is people will set them up in the corner, and oil will drip down into that wood there, and it'll kind of wick draw the oil, and over time it gets real soft, and next thing you know you got cracks and things like that. This right here kind of prevents that a little bit. And plus it just adds added strength to it. So basically what I'm doing is I've got my contour about where I want it, so I'm just kind of removing wood on each side as I go. Basically just taking the weight off, I guess. And I'll do this a while, and I'll go back over there and I'll put it back on the gun, and I'll look at it, you know, making sure that, you know, we ain't developing any crookedness. Try to keep everything nice and straight and in order. Ain't got no worse than getting a gun stock and it'd be crooked. So we want to make sure that don't happen. Well, the best way to do that is to go slow. For me it is. Some people are really lightning fast doing this kind of work, because I guess they do it all the time, but I just very seldom do I make a stop from start to finish. In this case here, we just couldn't get a aftermarket stock for it, not even an original one that was worth anything. In this case right here, we have to just make one. I'm gonna reach over here and cut the fan on. You know, it's kind of funny because I kind of wanted to bypass the fitting part of it, you know, and the cutting out and the drilling of the back of it. Try to maybe make the video a little shorter. It's still very informational, but it don't look like it's going to be any shorter. So, anyway, everything's looking really good. I'll just keep doing this right here, and then we'll probably go back over to the other bench over there and put it back on the receiver and do a little cutting over there and come back over here and do a little cutting over here. Just kind of bounce back and forth until we wind up with a nice stop. Alright, we're back over here on this part of the shop in the woodworking area. And now what I'm going to do is I've done put it back on the receiver here, and I'm going to take this file here and I'm going to kind of fine tune it a little bit. Still got a little ways yet to go on it as far as taking wood off. But what I do is I thought I'd come in here and kind of get it as close to the receiver as I can. Kind of put that proper contour to it with this file. Again, I'm going to kind of leave it just a little bit prouder on the receiver. In other words, the wood just sticking up just a little bit. I want to have a nice little swoop from receiver to wood. Kind of what we're going for. Again, we're not going to take anything off the top of that or the bottom of that or that. or that down there for that fact. Just right up in here, it was a little robust. It didn't, you know, I just want to have that nice swoop to that. So the way I do that, I just take a file and I'll just keep cutting it until it starts looking like the way I want it to look. Kind of staying out of this area right here. I think I went down as far as I want to go in that. That looks good. I'll just take and round all that off here when I'm done. Be careful not to cut into the receiver with this file. Oh yeah. Again, I wanted to make this one just a little bit thicker than the original. And I'm going off that one that I had off that other gun, you know, that needed a stock on it. But it's the original stock, and it was a little smaller than this one. So I think it just looks a little bit better, matches the receiver more when you got a little bit thicker piece of wood on this particular design. That's basically how I do it. I just kind of shape it with this file as I watch it, making sure that, you know, I take the right amount, but the same amount of material off each side. We'll probably take it off again here in a few minutes and go back over there to the sanding wheel. Just gonna kind of fine tune it with this file, and yeah, we'll probably go back over there and take a little more off, kind of keep the taper. We'll keep the shape. We'll kind of basically shape it out over here with this file. Then I'll go over there and kind of fine tune it with that sanding wheel, keeping the same shape that we have here. Basically what we're going to do is just going to kind of just take a little of the material off and thin it down just a little, but I think we're just about there. Alright, we're back over here at the old sanding wheel in the polishing room. That fan off there. What you want to do, you know, is just kind of one of them deals where you kind of got to use common sense with it. I've been bouncing around from, you know, the woodworking room to the polishing room here, and I've got the stock back on the receiver, and I'm just kind of looking at it at all angles, and everything seems to be really straight and contour. Just still need to take a little bit of the wood off. And what I want to do is I just kind of want to shape it while it's on the receiver at this point. I want to make sure that I get it down and contoured enough to where it looks good, fits good on the stock, but yet I can get a recoil pad to fit on it. Still a little wide down here on this end, so kind of want to shape everything up without taking too much wood off, but we want to take enough off of where we can fit a nice pad on it. As far as, you know, having a good feel to it, it feels really good. That's one of the purposes of using the sandpaper, because what you do is you just smooth it down where you can get a good look at it, and then you come back over here when you see you got quite a bit you have to take off. This takes it off a little bit quicker than trying to hand sand it. Either this or use your belt sander. I just want to put it back on the receiver where I can kind of get a bird's eye look at it. Looking at it at all angles. I think we're just about ready to fit a butt plate on it. I'll probably carry it back over and put it back on the vise I've got. rotisserie vise. I guess that's a good name for it, because that way I put it on there and turn it around, look at it, and check the shadows out. You gotta have one of them. Since I got one though, I usually put it into play, into service. I don't know if you see that on the camera or not, but everything seems to be contoured real nice. The swoop there is in good shape. Everything right in there looks good. The butt plate area looks really good. The worst thing you can do is get in a real big hurry, especially at this point. Basically, the goal here is to take as much material off as you can with this fast cutting wheel, and then kind of going back over it again with the sandpaper like we did earlier, and then that'll kind of give you a true reading of what you have here. Be real careful not to take too much off. And if you do, most of the time it ain't no big deal. You just take the same amount off on the other side and line everything back up. And another thing too you want to really watch for is that hole right there that you drilled in there to put the screw in. You want to make sure that you don't get it so thin that it comes through. In this case here it's good and straight, so I know I've probably got about at least 1/4 of an inch of wood on each side of that. So, you know, just little things to take into consideration when you're doing this kind of work. Okay, I got about a day invested in this. I'm going to have some still pictures at the beginning of the video showing what it looked like, you know, before I drilled it. Actually, it's actually on the receiver, and kind of give you an idea, you know, just basically put it on there and draw it out and cut it out with your bandsaw, and kind of spared us the fitting part of it. Basically, this was just going to be a stock shaping video and butt plate fitting video. In hopes I can make it a little quicker, you know, the video a little shorter, but yet informational. Like I said earlier, I don't think it's going to wind up being a short video. Hopefully it'll be informational. So be careful. You want to know your surroundings. In this case here, I don't want to knock the camera off the stand. Apologize for hitting that. I think that right there looks like that's probably about perfect in my opinion. Butt plate area looks good. So like I say, we'll probably take it off of this contraption, carry it back over there to the rotisserie vise, we'll call it. And maybe hit it again with an 80 grit sandpaper and just keep playing it by ear. Yeah, that's starting to shape up real nice. That light really does help. At least it helps me to determine where the little low spots and high spots are. Just kind of move it around a little bit, you know. See if I can get that on the camera. just kind of wanted to make it just a little bit, just maybe a 1/16 of an inch or less above the receiver on this end right here and up here. Just kind of give it that, it's more or less a cosmetic thing because it's got such a wide receiver like an Ethica Model 37. So I think that's going to suit it well. I believe we're just about ready to fit a butt plate on this. You know, I know it seems kind of crazy, but a lot of the finishing touches almost take us about as long as shaping the stock itself out, because you just want to make sure everything's contoured in right. At least I do. I just want to make sure that when it's all said and done, I ain't got no regrets once I get finished with it. I could round that off a little more, I guess. No, maybe I will. All in all, though, I believe it's nice and straight. Again, I'll probably put it on the receiver and look at it. We'll take a look at it after I get it on there, and we'll look at it, you know, hold the camera way up and make sure everything's going to be contoured with the receiver. So far, so good. Everything still is nice. I don't think it's going to be moving enough to where it ain't going to be, but don't want to take it for granted. We'll make sure that we look at everything and make sure everything's nice and straight. All right, I finally put the stock back onto the receiver. Looks like that its contour is looking really good. Everything's kind of flowing from metal to wood like we wanted. Got the little seams or the creases there, they kind of flow in together. This upside down look. The receiver and everything looks like it's good and straight with the wood there. Hope everybody can see that. Of course, it's got a little bit of cleanup work to do here on it. I just basically like to make sure that we are going to have a good fit, you know, from metal to wood. Of course, we'll take the forearm off, we'll clean it up. We'll refinish that as well. I think we're just about ready to fine tune it with some fine sandpaper and smooth it up a bit and then fit us a butt plate on it. I always want to make sure I got it all sanded down and the contour cut, you know, the shaping done complete before I start fitting a butt plate on it. So we'll go ahead and do the final sandings on it and be ready to fit us a butt plate on it. Alright, here we are in the polish room again. I've got that forearm here. Oh, got that fan off where y'all can hear me. Anyway, we're back here in the polishing room. I've got the forearm in here, and what I like to do in a case like this right here, I've got a 140 polishing wheel on here. It's loaded up with 140 polishing grit. And instead of, you know, hitting it with sandpaper, this is kind of how I would take the old finish off, and usually do this on stocks and everything. Usually saves a little bit of time. Just want to be careful not to dip it out or anything. It's sort of like polishing metal. And I'll kind of demonstrate how I would do this. Instead of going long ways with the grain, because it's got the little grooves cut in there, you kind of want to go this way right here with it. If everybody can see that. I will go with the grain, but I'll use sandpaper, you know, when we get to that step. Just let the foam ring. I'll let the answer machine get that. You know, if you go that way with it, you're probably going to round them little edges off. Of course, if you go put too much pressure on it, then you're going to take the wood away. We don't want to do that either. All we want to do here is remove the finish. And any staining that might be in the wood, if it can be removed, staining, we want to try to get it out of there as well. This does an excellent job. Like I said, I do this right here for taking finishes off stops and things like that. It does a great job at that. And I think I've got videos where I'm actually, you know, taking some finish off stops and stuff. It's a 140 polishing wheel I'd use for polishing metal now. I keep the wheels for the wood put over here, you know, out of the way, because I use them for only wood only. I got a 500 wheel for 500 polishing array, and then a 140 wheel. Loose muslin wheels usually works best. This right here, it's got a lot of oil stains in it, so probably, unfortunately, won't be able to get that darkness out. Excuse me. Probably soak it in acetone and might take it out. This is a really old gun. That's a really old piece of wood. What I usually do as far as these grooves here are concerned, I got a special device over there on the rotisserie vise, I guess if you will, and I'll put this on there, and then I got basically a little file. I'll just kind of individually clean up these little splines in here. Then after I get all that done, I'll take a piece of fine sandpaper, just kind of, you know, hit over the whole thing, and that usually cleans it up pretty good. So what we'll probably end up doing at this point is going back on over there to the woodworking area and, you know, kind of get set up to go ahead and clean this up. All right, got it all set up here on the little vise here. All common sense. I'll kind of go over this with you a little bit. This is how I would do something like this right here. After I get it, you know, sanded down over there in the polishing room. Always come over here, and I've done two of these. I don't know if you can see a difference in them two or not. Anyway, I've got me a little rat tail file here, and basically I just kind of turn that as I go. It's all common sense. The main thing you want to remember about doing this kind of work right here in these ridges, don't cut in sideways, you know, like that right there. You want to keep that good and straight. Basically just let the file sit still and you just turn the work. See, I've done these two here, just kind of demonstrating it. And here's a fresh one here. Keeping it straight. Let the path of least resistance guide your file, which would be the groove that's already cut in that. Don't cut in too deep. Then after you get it kind of cleaned out, kind of lighten up on it a little bit. Similar to this nature right here. Of course, we got some staining in this wood right here, so it's going to look like that it's not really clean, but it is. Paintbrush handy where you can kind of clean everything off and get a good look at things. Got a little bit of a ridge in it right there. You can just take a dowel rod, or I think in this case right here was an old broomstick. Just cut it off, made this little thing because it's basically the same size as you know, the magazine tube. It's kind of thinking outside the box there. Put a little tape around it, you know, kind of make up any slack. And you put yours in a regular bench vise to hold it. Basically want to just keep your file straight. We'll do a fourth one now. I always start up by kind of doing it this way right here, keeping it straight as you're watching it. Do that a couple of times. Don't get in too deep, don't carry it away with it. The closer you get to the end, the more you just lighten up, kind of take a look at things. You know, stop before you get to the end there. If you go sideways with that, you're just going to make the grooves wider. You don't want to go no wider. Probably wouldn't hurt if you did a little bit, but you want to keep it as close to the original look as you can. Keep a moderate amount of pressure on it as you turn the forearm. Keeping the dust out of the way with your brush or air line, whatever you might have. Got a compressor to blow it off, but in this case here I'm using the old paintbrush. It's got a compressor, but it seems to me like it works better with a brush. Time you start a new one out, it's going to be a little more aggressive at first. Kind of keeping an eye on everything as you cut. Once I get all these grooves cut, then I'll sand it with some fine sandpaper, you know, long ways. Pretty much every group's going to be pretty much handled the same way. I have worked on these forearms where the little grooves are just about to be wore off. Fortunately though, there's always a hint of the original grooves in there. You can kind of go off that pattern. Same way with the stock. I know I'd mentioned that that gun there didn't have a stock at all on it. But I did have one around here that had a stock. Of course, you've seen the stock, it wouldn't really fit to put on anything. But it did have a shape, a pattern of what that stock would have looked like original. I kind of went off that. Basically, it's like an Africa Model 37 stock is what it is. We'll compare that in this video. I've got an Africa 37 in there. I think it's a 20 gauge. Anyway, I'll just kind of compare the stocks sometime in this video here and kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about when I say Africa Model 37, you know, the stock shape. All right, what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and cut the rest of those grooves out. Won't bore you with doing every one of them on the camera. Again, trying to kind of shorten the video a little bit. Want to make it as educational as we can, or as informational as we can. And I'll go ahead and get the rest of these done, and we'll just kind of keep playing it all by ear. Alright, I believe we've got all the grooves cut in there nice and smooth. I kind of went over everything, you know, with the file. You can see they're a lot deeper now than they was. Now I got me as a cork sanding block. It ain't got to be a cork sanding block. Really, actually, a wooden sanding block probably work. But I got this cork one. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go over the top of it, not real heavy. Moving it around. We don't want no flat spots in it. I'm going with the grain of the wood. Right up here on the end, it's stained pretty good, but it's going to be covered, most of that anyway, it's going to be covered with that metal piece that holds that onto the forearm linkage that goes on the magazine, you know, that fastens on the branch blocks, what I'm trying to say. A little cover that fits over them. That's good. Hold it straight. Kind of go light with it. Holding firmly onto your block sander. Basically, you don't want it to dip inside there and round them off. Kind of get the bulk of the bad wood on it off. This is a 150 grit sandpaper. Keep it light. Had some soft wood on it around the edge. I think we about got all that off though, so. The object of the game is try to make it look about as new as the stock. I'll probably wind up having to put some stain on the stock, kind of tone it down where it would match this a lot better, but we'll just kind of play it all by ear and see what it looks like after it's all sanded. Definitely a lot thicker as far as the grooves. What I'm looking for now is those places like this right here. I hope y'all can see that on the camera. Little scratch marks. Kind of blending it in. Don't stay focused on it too long because you don't want a flat spot to develop. Kind of blend it in as you go. It's got kind of a tapering effect to it. And this is pretty much the same principle for anything round like this. These grooves are really aggressive. They're really deep, like would have been when it was brand new. What I want to do is I just want to kind of keep hitting it with the block sander until all the little imperfections start going away. And if you have to leave a few of them in there, it ain't going to be no real big deal, but pretty much getting them all out of there with this. Just take your hand, kind of make sure there ain't no flat spots in it, no dips. There, looks real good. That's probably about as good as that's going to be. So now what I would do is probably take some finer sandpaper like this 220 and just kind of lightly sand over it. And that's going to kind of smooth the little edges down, the little sharp edges down. Not to the point to where you want to round them off or anything. Just going to kind of smooth everything up with this 220 sandpaper. Since we done cut down to new wood and everything. Maybe follow it out with some double O steel wool. That's probably about as good as that's going to get, which looks pretty good. As far as our tone and everything, it's probably about as light as it's going to get. Again, we will compare it to the walnut. It's almost still a little darker than this right here, but like I said, maybe a light stain on this right here, black walnut stain, just a very light stain. And by the time we put the true oil on both of them, that should bring them in pretty much. A lot of times you can just put true oil on this and it'll bring it in. So we'll just kind of look at it when we get to the refinishing stage of it. But anyway, that's how we do the forearm. All right, here we are back on the vise here. I just put a little of the dark walnut on that, kind of tone it down a little bit to kind of bring it more or less into the forearm. You can kind of see now that matches pretty good now. So I just put one light coat on it. I'm just kind of buffing it off with steel wool, and I'm fixing to put some true oil on it. Start the finishing process and call this a done deal when we get it all done. But yeah, it kind of matches really good now, and that's kind of what we were after. If you remember before, the stock was a whole lot lighter than the forearm. Of course, the forearm's probably been, obviously been on there since it was brand new, and the thing's probably about 75 80 years old, the gun is. You know, it's just a product of oil and, you know, just years, which kind of stained it dark, I guess, through and through. So just kind of wanted to catch the stock up. That way when we put the finish on there, we'll have a pretty much matching set. So let's go ahead and start putting some true oil on that, and we'll just keep chipping away at it. All right, folks. Thought I'd go ahead and fast forward just a little bit. I'm putting the finish on this stock and forearm, and kind of wanted to show you the procedure here I'm using on this. And basically what it boils down to, anytime you're dealing with an open grain wood like black walnut, or any kind of open grain wood for that fact, when you want to fill the grains in, the way I do it, this is about a 4th coat here, and about middle ways done with it as far as the finishing of that. But I thought I'd kind of go over the procedure here. What I do is I put the coat of true oil on there, and I give it 24 hours. This is about a 4th day for this. Every 24 hours I'll take some sandpaper, 220 sandpaper in this case here, and what I'll do is I'll just kind of lightly go over it. And what I'm doing is I'm not changing the shape of the wood or anything like that. I'm just kind of knocking that first layer off. Basically what I'm doing is I'm building up the layers, and I'm filling in the grains. And you'll have little high spots in the true oil because you're going to go across grain with it. So basically that's what I've done, is I'm just kind of knocking it all back down smooth again with some fine sandpaper, anywhere from 220 to 400. And I've done the, excuse me, the forearm the same way, going that way with it, nice and light. And what I'll do after I get done with all my sanding, take me a brush and I'll kind of go crossways with the grain, such as this way. It's kind of knocking off a lot of that dust, but leaving a lot of the dust inside the pores. Basically like that. Leave a little bit of it on there, it ain't gonna matter. Same over this right here, going long ways, because I don't really want it to get down in them grooves. And I guess you probably have to do it about 30 coats on to fill them grooves in, but we'll do it like that right there. That way we know we still got some dust in the pores, but yet our grooves are pretty clean. Then after I reach that step right there, just kind of look at it real good. See any high spots, just kind of want to smooth them back down. Then after you get it how you want it, take your little true oil. Put a little bit of it in your palm of your hand like so, with dusty hands. Basically just put it back on the wood, and you'll repeat this process every day. You'll come in, you'll do it again. About every 24 hours you'll repeat this process, probably from about 6 to 10 times. Like I said, I'm probably about middle ways done with it. You want to go cross grain, that way you'll know that the dust is in the grain, because you're basically just building it up for what you're doing, for smooth texture on the wood. Same way on the forearm. Careful of that wire. I ain't worried about getting none of it in the grooves. If a little bit of it gets in there, that's fine. But at this point, all I'm doing is filling in all the grain. What I'll do is, I'll keep repeating this process, as I said before, anywhere from 8 to 10 times. And on the last day, when I'm ready to put the final finish on there, and we'll go over it when that day comes, is I'll hit it with 400 grit sandpaper, and then I will blow the dust off. Then I'll follow it up with 00 steel wool. Going this way with it, and I'll look at it real good. I'll make sure there ain't no open grain in it. When I'm satisfied, I'll blow it off real good and make sure there ain't no dust in there, and then we'll take it in there and we'll spray a polyurethane finish on it. And it'll dry a satin finish, and that'll be our standard finish. And that'll really seal it. And we'll go over those steps. Just kind of wanted to cut in about halfway through here and explain the procedure and kind of share that with you. But there is the progress so far on the stock. And of course you can see the forearm. Everything kind of matches really good. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with it. Definitely was a good idea to put that stain on that wood, on that stock. Still just maybe a shade darker the forearm is, but not really much to speak of. So anyway, we'll just keep chipping away at it and until we have us a finished product. Alright, here we are about 2 hours later into that True Oil application. Just kind of wanted to let everybody kind of look at it. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but it's really building up good. I just took it off the vise and put it in here in this room here where it would dry. But you can really see how that, you can look at it in the light and you can see the different patterns there that I put in it when I went cross grain with it. That just helps fill in those open grains. Everything is really smoothing up nice. I'm going to say another couple of coats and we'll be ready to spray that, but I just kind of wanted to show that. And that way you'll kind of get an idea why you'd want to use the sandpaper. It just kind of smooths it back down smooth again. Gives it a nice smooth texture, and it builds that grain up to where it's closing it in with that dust. About 2 hours into it. I like to give it 24 hours to fully dry, and then tomorrow morning we'll do it again, and we'll keep repeating it till we get us a nice finish. Then we'll go over it on that last application. All right, folks, here we are, and today we're going to put the final finish on this stock. I done went over it with 400 sandpaper, 400 grit sandpaper. And now what I've done is I took this 00 steel wool and I just kind of buffed back over it. And what I'm looking for is any more open grain that might be left behind. I believe we got all the open grain out of it. I just take me a paper towel and I kind of wipe over it, buff it with the paper towel in all areas. I believe that's ready to be sprayed. Did the same thing here to the forearm. Still got the powder on it from the 400 grit sandpaper. Basically what I'll do is I'll just do like what I'm doing here, just kind of clean it off real nice. I'll just take the 00 steel wool and just kind of buff over that as well. And I'll do that until it gets really smooth and buff back over it with a paper towel. Get these lines cleaned out real good. Then I'll be ready to spray that as well. I'll go on ahead and clean this up, and then we'll go to the paint area, or the spray area, and we'll go ahead and get this sprayed. Alright, here we are in the spray area. I'll have to kind of speak up. I got to keep the fans on with this. And basically I got me a spray gun here, and I just kind of wipe over everything real good. Hand. There we go. I'm just kind of checking and making sure there ain't no dust that might have stuck on the wood or anything. I usually let the fan run, before I do this, probably about a good hour. Just basically want to make sure there ain't no dust particles floating around in the air. I got it on this little contraption right here, which keeps it horizontal. That way, if I get it too thick, it won't run, and I can always turn it. Because while I'm spraying this, you'll notice I'll just be keeping a close eye on it, and I'll just kind of turn it as I go. It helps me to keep a better look at it. You ain't got to do it this way. You can go up and down with it, but this right here seems to work really good for me. I got this set up where I can do long stops, short stops. It really works out good. Make sure you're in a well-ventilated area when you do this, or wear a respirator. And it looks shiny, but when that dries, that'll be more of a satin look. It gives me better control of the stock, this holder does. I can kind of see it in different light tones where the lights are shining down on it. Just want to be real careful not to hit the lights or anything, because you don't want to knock no dust loose. Always try to put a generous coat on it. Where everything looks nice and even and wet as I turn it. stick and it wants to run, I just simply turn that right there and I stop it from running. That's the reason why I like this so much. Of course, once it dries a little bit, the run will eventually stop anyway, and then you can take it off of this thing and take it in there and in the drying room where it can cure out. The main thing is don't get in no hurry. Take your time with it. Looking at everything, looking at it at all angles, making sure you got a good even coat all the way on it. I think that's good for now. What we'll do, we'll just let that dry right there on the holder there. We'll give it a few minutes while that's drying. Got the forearm right here. Then checked it for any loose dust that might be on it. I'm gonna go in here and spray it right quick, or spray it with an air hose. I'm gonna do it back here. I don't want to do it in here. Right. I'm gonna try to get this in the camera where you can see it, but I may have to. Let me just see if I can't move the camera over a little bit. I don't want any of the overspray to get on the stock. I've done sprayed. We'll get a little closer to the fan. I apologize if you can't see it real good. Got a lot of little things going on here. Don't want to bump something and mess something up. Looks good. I'll just kind of sit here then and hold it like that, kind of turning it, looking at it, making sure everything's good and uniformed. Alright, I believe that's got that. And that's pretty much it. And once that dries or gets dry enough to where I can move it, I'll move it in there to the drying room, and then we'll look at it after it dries, obviously, and we should have us a finished product. Then we'll go ahead and put the recoil pad on it. Alright, you know what I thought I'd do? I wasn't going to add this part to the video, but I thought, well, this is a stock shaping, refinishing video, and I thought, I'm going to go ahead and, it ain't really a secret, this is just how I do this. You might have a better way of doing it, and I've done it all kind of ways as far as spraying the finish on the gun stock. So I thought, well, I'm going to share with them the way I would do it. And this is the way I do it. And it's almost like a joke. It's kind of funny, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there anyway. And I've been doing this for years, and man, it's really been turning out really nice. So what I do is, I'm going to show you first of all the finish I use. I use this finish right here. Y'all can see that. Got a standard finish here, then we got the high polish, because some customers want a standard finish, which is what we put on the stock that we just made, standard finish. And some folks like a high polish, and I'll go into that a little further here in a few minutes. But anyway, what I do is, first let me tell you the reasons why I do it. These little blue tips right here, on these right here, you can spray a gun stock, maybe 2 or 3 of them, maybe, with a can. Then after a while, these things here get to where they want to kind of orange peel and spit and just, you know, mess the finish up. And it's okay for some things, you know, if you're doing a cabinet or something, you know, but a gun stock, for me, I like it to be smooth and look really nice. So what I do is, after about 3 stocks, these little tips right here start wearing out for me to be using. So what I've done is I tried to order some more blue tips, and I was just going to change the tip out because when they start messing up, you still got about that much product in the can. And of course, you know, you don't want to throw it away. So what I've done is just all common sense. Is I've got the spray gun here that you see me using it a while ago. And it's all common sense. I've drilled a little hole right up here in the top of it. And I know about how much it takes to do a stock, so I'll just take and shake the product up real good in the can. I got that hole there, and here we can see it. And I'll get in a well ventilated area. You want to make sure you don't breathe none of this. And I'll just spray it into the hole there. You know, well ventilated area, that little cloud you see is going to go out the door there. But anyway, or out the vent. But anyway, I'll fill up about as much of it that I need to do the stock, and then I'll spray it. And if I need more, I just come over here and spray some more in there. That way I ain't got no waste, and it lasts forever in that can, so you ain't got to worry about nothing drying out on you. And as you've seen, it's sprayed really good. I don't have to worry about that blue tip wearing out on that can there. And that's a really good formula. I am really impressed with it. I've been using it for years. You can get this stuff. You can get it at Walmart. You can get it at Lowe's. It's really relatively available to get. And this is polyurethane. Again, this right here will dry to a satin finish, and we'll look at it when that dries in there. I'll go ahead and put the gun together, and we'll look at the finished product when it's all dried and ready to be handled. And of course, we've got the high polish here, and basically all I do is I just spray that on there, and then after it dries, I'll go the extra step and I'll polish it, and I'll show you one that's got the high polish on it here in a minute. Kind of wanted to explain that to you. Kind of give you an option if you're doing this, you know, as a career. I know a lot of times people like to mix up their own stuff and all that, and that's fine and well, but I mean, to me it just seems almost comical just to use it out of a can. Just spray it in this right here, and it sprays good, and you get good results, and I don't know why anybody wouldn't just do that. And I've got this little rubber plug, you know, I'll put in there and kind of plug that up. You know, but it sprays really good, as you've seen, and we'll look at the finished results here in a minute. And I think I've covered everything on that. You know, you got to clean your gun out about every time, and that's fine because you want a good clean gun every time you spray a stock. So it does take a little more time, I guess, to use the spray gun, but in the end, you can get nothing but professional results out of it, and I see myself continuing to use this because it works really good. Alright, I went back there and I got one that I do have a high polish on. I kind of wanted to show you that. Everybody can see that. You want a high polish bluing on this one here, along with a high polish on the wood. A new butt plate I put on it. But anyway, you can see the real shiny finish that produces. And all I've done is I just sprayed it with that spray gun. And that spray gun, by the way, is an Ingersoll Rand, or Ingersoll, I think is what it's called, with a .08 tip on it. In case you're wondering, that's what I got. I think I picked it up probably Tractor Supply, somewhere like that, years ago. I got 2 of them. But anyway, there is the high polish bluing and on the wood. I'm sure everybody can see that. Turned out really nice. It's almost like a glass coating, which a lot of times people will take these old guns and they want them to look like trophies, and of course, you know, that comes with the wood as well, you know. But anyway, that'd be a high polish, and I've showed these in the past on other videos. But to get that, I just use that same technique with that spray gun. So we'll give the stock we just sprayed 24 hours, and I'll go ahead and put it all together, and then we'll go over that and I'll show you the results, the finished results on that. Alright, here we are on the day we finally got the gun put back together. No, that's not the gun, but that is the one that I patterned it out of, or after, rather. This gun here is the same exact gun, just like the one that we made that stock for. As you can see, this one here needs a stock and several other parts, and it's been here for quite some time. We just hadn't been able to get no parts for it. I'm probably going to wind up making a stock for this one here too, but first we want to get the parts to make sure it's going to shoot. But anyway, I am fortunate to have it down here, and I did use this right here as a pattern to pattern the stock that we made out of. And of course, it's got the original recoil pad on it, as you can see. And I thought, man, fat chance of getting an original recoil pad for that stock that we made. But guess what? Found one, and guess who had it? Brian Ells. That's the original recoil pad. There's the stock with a polyurethane finish on it, and you've seen me spray it. You've seen the technique. Turned out really nice. Did the forearm as well. Gun looks good. Stock fits good. Got a good durable polyurethane finish on it. And we do have the original recoil pad on it. I was really impressed to be able to get one of them. I went on and ground it, you know, to the contour of this stock here. But turned out really good. I believe the customer will really be pleased with it. Yeah. Same one. Hoping in the future to get this one right here running again for the customer. But you know, that's one of the bad things about doing this kind of work is sometimes you just have to make the part. In this case here, we just had to make a stock. Couldn't get no aftermarket stock nowhere. And like I was telling you, it's kind of like an Ethica Model 37 stock is what it is. But anyway, turned out really good. I believe my customer would be pleased with that. All right, we done made another video here at Scotty's Gun Works. Here is the finished product. Belongs to Mr. James Holland. He said it belonged to his granddad, old family heirloom. All he wanted to do when he brought it down here, I should say, is just have a stock put on it. So, you know, we went for the longest time trying to order one, never could find one. So anyway, we made a decision to go ahead and make one. I went on ahead and redone the forearm as well to kind of match things up. We were really fortunate enough to get that original recoil pad for this gun. So anyway, there it is. Turned out really nice. I'm really pleased with it, and I believe he will be as well. Got that standard finish, I call it, which is not shiny, but it ain't dull. It's basically what the factory would have put on that. Gun turned out real nice. I'm really pleased with it. I believe Mr. James Holland will be as well. I think I went over all the high points in this video. I try to get as much information out there as I can when it comes to making stocks or whatever I might be making the video on. And of course, ain't none of these videos rehearsed, so I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't leave something out. But if you have any questions, just feel free to give me a call. Area code 615-746-9668. Be happy to answer any questions you might have or anything like that. If I don't pick up, just leave me a message. Really enjoy making these videos, and I appreciate everybody watching them. Looking forward to making more in the future. All right, we got a bonus we'll add to the end of the video. Mr. James Holland just came in to pick up his gun. What do you think about it, James?
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you.
All right, man. Glad to do that. We just thought we'd put this video in since the customer come down. It's always fun to show the customer. But anyway, this will be a little bonus. We'll just kind of slip into the end of the video.